Good afternoon everybody, how are you all? It's Laura here from See Clear Counselling, and today I'm going to try and answer some of your questions that you've been asking me about my upcoming mindfulness course in October. And one of the first questions that people asked me was, well, what is mindfulness? And what a great question. Why would you sign up to a course that you didn't know what it was about? So let's answer first of all, what is mindfulness? And John Kabat-Zinn, who actually developed the mindfulness-based stress reduction program in the United States, described mindfulness as an awareness that arises through paying attention on purpose in the present moment, non-judgmentally. So that means we're in the present moment, we're actually paying attention to what is happening in that moment, but without any judgment attached to that. And we can practice mindfulness in either an informal way or a formal way. And on the course, we look at both those ways of practicing mindfulness. Informal mindfulness is how we bring things into our day-to-day life. So things like mindful walking, mindful eating, maybe being mindful when you're stuck in a traffic jam or in the queue at the supermarket. So it's just practicing in those moments how to be mindful on just those little bits and pieces that you do during the day. And then there's formal mindfulness, which is actually finding a particular time of the day when you're going to perhaps do some meditation or some gentle mindful movement. And quite often setting aside 20 minutes to 45 minutes of just doing a meditation, usually a guided meditation, and finding a space to do that every day. And we'll talk about in the course the benefits of both informal and formal mindfulness. And after the course, of course, you can practice it in any way that feels comfortable for you and that you feel is most helpful to you. I was also asked, what are the benefits of mindfulness? Now, if you're going to pay for a 10-week course, you'll want to get something at the end of it, won't you? And mindfulness has scientific research to state how it helps to reduce anxiety, reduce stress, reduce depression, reduce chronic pain, and even how we view or feel in illness. Now, mindfulness-based stress reduction was introduced in the hospital setting in America for those people with chronic pain and stress, etc. And then later on, the UK Health Board asked people to look at how we could reduce reoccurring depression in people and reduce anxiety, and the mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, MBCT, was developed. And that actually said that if you do practice mindfulness consistently over an 8-week period and in a formal way, that it can actually halve the risk of that reoccurring depression and does enhance your overall well-being. And actually what I've found as I've increased my mindfulness practice is it's not just about that calmness that it brings into my life, but it's also about how I feel about myself. And actually I find myself kind of sitting more upright, walking in a stronger way and feeling a little bit more confident about myself. And so it actually enables us to feel more connected with ourselves, because what we're doing is we're bringing our mind and our body together, and it brings a certain level of self-confidence and self-esteem, along with just kind of creating that calm space that you can find within you and outside of you. So what can you expect from the course? Well, as I say, we start on the 20th of October. There's an online course, and then there's a face-to-face course here in my therapy space in Parkstone. And each group is limited to a maximum of 8 people, so we try and keep it small and intimate so that you know, we're not feeling too overwhelmed by what we're doing. And we do 4 weeks of classes. Then you have 2 weeks to go away and kind of think about how mindfulness can, you know, how you can integrate it into your daily life. And then we have another 4 weeks of classes just to deepen what you've learned in the first half. So on week 1, it really is just a gentle introduction, how you want to approach mindfulness, what you want from mindfulness, whether that be to reduce your anxiety or reduce some chronic pain, or whatever it is that you're looking for, that you hope to be gaining from being part of the course. The second week we're looking at your body, and we're looking at the body scan and explaining how we kind of, you know, connect with our body in that non-judgmental way. The third week is about that gentle mindful movement, so that's some stretching and breathing and kind of bringing that connection of our mind and our body together. The fourth week is choosing how we react, and that kind of fits into that cognitive therapy where we can have some of those very unhelpful and negative thoughts, that those what ifs that spiral in our head, and that's why it's so useful for the anxiety. And we're looking at how we choose to react to those and how mindfulness can allow us not to react in quite the same way. Then we'll have that 2-week break to practice, and then when we come back, we're looking at being with what is difficult. And mindfulness isn't easy. And I think that, you know, this is a discussion about, you know, what are the difficulties? How are we finding it difficult? And to look at, you know, it's okay for us to find it difficult. We're bringing in that non-judgment around what we're doing ourselves, and talking about that. Week 6 is about building resilience, how we bring that mindfulness into our day-to-day lives so that we are more resilient when those difficult periods in our life come along, and how we can use our mindfulness to help us in those difficult times. And we look at, you know, what is unpleasant and what is pleasant, and not building a story around that, but just being more accepting of what is happening. Not in a way that we have to say everything's okay, but actually just, you know, what does that really mean for us in that moment. Then week 7, we're going to look at looking after ourselves. You know, what are those activities that sustain us, and what are those activities that drain us, and how we can look at doing more of some of those things that sustain us, less of some of those things that drain us, but again looking at everything in that, from that non-judgmental space, as to what that really means for us. And then the last one is the power of compassion. We're very good at being very critical of ourselves. We've talked about that kind of judgment a lot, so moving more into that non-judgment of ourselves and offering ourselves some compassion and kindness, and also how we can bring that compassion from ourselves to other people as well. So I hope that's given you a flavour of what we're going to do over the 10 weeks in the mindfulness course. And if you do have any more questions, then please do ask them here, put in the comments below, and I'll do my best to answer them. But hopefully now you know what mindfulness is, what the benefits of mindfulness are, and what you can expect from the course. And at the moment, if you book, it's on my early bird price, so that means you're just paying £12 a week for an hour and a half of, well, what I have felt is transforming your life. So hopefully some of you will join us in October. That's it for this week. I hope that's really shown you how we can manage and reduce our anxiety with mindfulness. Bye for now.